Good morning everybody and welcome to Suffolk Business Live. My name's Craig Sennett and with me today is Chris Storey. Thanks very much for coming in, Chris.
That's all right, Craig. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, it's been years, I think, since we've last bumped into each other. Obviously your own part, your own business, I saw your car when you turned up, you run a surveyor's business sort of thing, so I recognised a few surveying tools and bits and pieces. But predominantly your back, what a lot of people will know you for, aside from your working life, is your involvement with the FSB. For those of you that don't know, that's the Federation of Small Businesses, and it's a very interesting organisation, which is why I asked Chris in today to talk about it. How long have you been in the FSB?
I joined the FSB when I first started in business, funnily enough, because my predecessor was an FSB member, and the badge was in the window, and it seemed silly not to join as well. And once I looked at the what it had to offer, I decided, that's actually quite a sensible option, and it does give you value for your business, because it's like everything. If you insure against things, you don't necessarily see the value until you have something that until you need it. But then it's always nice to know that you've got that insurance in place and that your business is protected should you need that protection.
What sort of, the FSB locally, the FSB in national organisation, are they international?
They're national organisation, Federation of Small Businesses. Their headquarters is up in Blackpool. They've got another base down in London, and obviously you've got regional people around the whole of the country. Regional branches in this area. We have the East Anglia region, which is basically Norfolk and Suffolk, and we meet as a regional group as well as a county branch as well. The regional meetings tend to be up at Harleston, just for geographical reasons, but obviously we have a strong Suffolk branch as well now. Historically, if I just give you the numbers, nationally FSB has about 200,000 members nationally and about 2,000 members in Suffolk. So that gives you a good idea of the sort of
big
numbers.
Size in terms of the groups.
But a lot of the people who are members of the FSB are there for the insurance protection that it offers you for revenue and VAT investigation insurance, and also the legal advice line that they provide for you. So it gives you sort of some backup and security for your business if you're hit by a revenue investigation, in particular if you're a cash holding business. Proving how much cash has been through your pocket is sometimes quite difficult, and that's where the FSB has developed a particular specialism for dealing with these things, and they can provide a very strong level of support for your business should you be investigated and you need the support. You can take out specific insurance against that, and I was certainly offered at one point insurance against revenue investigation insurance, which was actually more expensive than my FSB membership, which covers me for the same thing. So I do sort of keep an eye on these things, and it is useful to sort of work out what it is. If you have a house, you wouldn't think about not having your house insured. Your business is just the same. You have to make sure your insurances are in place to protect you should something goes wrong.
It's interesting because I've been in the FSB now, I think 6 years, and I'll be honest, I haven't done a lot with it. It's like many business organisations and groups, you get out of it what you put in, and I joined, as you say, like a lot of people do, thinking if at any point my business is inspected by the revenue, it would be nice to know that there's someone there with familiar experience that could assist our accountants in representing us and deal with us. And I kind of thought, not that I've got anything to hide, but it's nice, I can go away and just leave people that know an awful lot more about it to talk to the revenue, and everything's all sorted, so we'll be quite happy. And I think genuinely, if you've got a good pool of accountants and stuff, it's safe, but it's that extra buffer of giving you a bit of peace of mind. And largely, that's one of the things why I wanted it. But with the, because you also do like sort of networking events, and there's there is, as you say, the phone line for legal advice and support and stuff like that. I've not needed to use it, but I can imagine an awful lot of members people that I've met in business and stuff have said at various times, we've had I've got a legal issue, what do you think, and stuff, and and obviously you've got a skill set in-house, probably at head office, to tackle a lot of these queries. With what the FSB, Federation of Small Business, is what it stands for, but to you locally, what are the big challenges and causes for it?
Well, I think if we just start with the actual legal advice and the revenue investigation insurance side of it first. I mean, because I've actually had personal experience in this last 12 months now. I've been an FSB member for 10 years. I have not had to call on their services until this last 12 months, and I got picked up by the Inland Revenue. My business was ready for was due an inspection, I suppose, or got picked up because of one particular issue or another. They tend to target particular sectors at a particular time, so it could be that they're doing a regular routine inspection of a particular group of businesses. I got picked up, had the inspector come to call, got a letter. And basically at that point the FSB use Abbey Tax as their people who they use to deal with these things. It all got passed over to them. They will get the information from your accountant, but they will deal with the issue direct themselves in that situation. And you do have to make sure that when you get the letter from the revenue, that you don't start to respond to it. The first point of call should be to the FSB.
Oh, I didn't know that. You see, I would have, even though I'm a member, I would have responded and said, if they come on 1st of March, whatever, look forward to seeing you there. And then I would have contacted you guys and said, oh, by the way, this is happening. Right, okay, I didn't know that.
I think as long as you don't get involved in the detail of it, that's probably fine. But you should, your first point of call should be to ring up the FSB helpline and say, I've had a letter from the revenue, what should I do now? And the same thing as well, if you employ staff, they have an HR advice line. Yeah. If you ring up the HR advice line, and as soon as you have an inkling of an issue, and if you're going to take any action with a member of staff, before you do anything, you ring them up and you follow the advice that you're given by them.
To the letter. That's the important bit.
And then you are covered by them for any outcomes. Yeah. And that's the important thing. It's a system that you have to follow. When you get it's like everything. If you become a member of something, you need to understand how it works, how it operates, and the system that you follow is: as soon as you have an issue, you ring them up. They will give you the advice that you need. You follow that advice, and then you are covered.
So it's funny because I used to, the company called Peninsula used to do my HR.
Yes.
Peninsula, used to do my HR when I first started. Just peace of mind, and they said, as soon as you get an issue, contact us at the start and we'll deal with it. And that to me was obvious. I understand HR, I know it very well. I don't understand accountancy, it's why I pay the company to do it. So of course, I suppose really when you look at it makes perfect sense. Yeah. With the FSB itself, I mean, it is a very inexpensive organisation to join, really. So get the hint. It is very inexpensive to join, but aside from the tax benefits and the legal advice and all HMRC advice, all that sort of stuff, something I've tended to see, particularly locally amongst sort of other people I know in business, a lot of the time when you talk to when other networking groups are talking, they'll always mention the FSB. It's kind of you're not seen as a threat to other business networking groups or anything. You're kind of almost seen as an ally or confidant sort of thing. But when you look at, they tend to sort of view you as a slightly different animal in that the FSB are very good to side with us, but I've heard the term, they are more a political lobbying group a lot. Would you say that's fair to say, or it's just a part of what you do? It
varies from county to county because it depends who's involved with the FSB at a branch level. In Suffolk, we have the history of the Suffolk branches was that there used to be several branches in Suffolk and they were merged into one Suffolk branch. That gave a stronger base to the branch, covering a lot more businesses in the local area. There's still a separate Waveney branch that covers Lowestoft and Yarmouth, covers like Lowestoft and Yarmouth, but the rest of Suffolk is all covered by our branch. We do liaise with the other branches.
They're quite specific industry areas, aren't they,
Yeah.
as well? So.
But it meant that we covered Suffolk, and that gave us a much stronger representation. When we're dealing with Suffolk County Council or district councils, we can say that we are the FSB covering Suffolk, and that means that you can talk to your county branch or county council and say, yep, we cover your area, and that gives them a much better ability to talk to you and say, right, okay, what is the small business thoughts on this in this area. The FSB has always been a lobbying organisation. It was set up originally for lobbying purposes, to tackle some of the inequity that was being faced by small business, the red tape issues and other things, and that was the background to the whole setup of the organisation, and it is something that we are very much aware of at a local level, and also we have tried to make sure that the organisation gives members an opportunity to bring their issues to us and to try to address those issues, because often people, one of the biggest issues that small business has is that you can feel very isolated and lack representation, because of course if you're a small business, well, the average small business is 0 to 9 people.
Yeah.
Now that means that you don't have a lot of time to deal with things, and you don't have a lot of time to actually represent yourself. And how can you get that representation to the wider area?
Well,
limited resources. But also, if you're one person, you have very little sway with the councils and what have you. If you're part of an organisation that represents 2,000 businesses, and that organisation takes your case and says, look, across our membership we have a problem, and this business has highlighted this, and we've checked with our members, and yes, it is an issue. We therefore think that you as a council ought to be addressing this. What are you doing about it? That gives a much greater emphasis to that particular issue. Now, I mean, we've had various challenges. I mean, the rollout of high-speed broadband has been a particular issue in Suffolk. Now, the FSB were very much at the forefront of the Suffolk broadband project.
Yeah.
Helped to ensure that, worked with the county council, got them to recognise the issues as far as small businesses was concerned, the importance of it to business generally, and also found the person who's now leading the Suffolk broadband project, pointed that out, their particular merits to the council, who then took them on board and got this whole project underway.
Do you find, I mean, you yourself, do you find the local council very receptive in terms of the kind of steering group's guidance and advice the FSB sort of raised to it? I mean, do the FSB have that much clout, I suppose, really, to sit down with the council and say, look, we've got 2,000 members in the area, 50% of our members are having a problem with this, there's 1,000 small businesses, problems with our we mentioned off-air potholes, for example. I heard on the radio there's a problem with potholes, they're not getting sorted, and I thought, well, I never really see it. And then I looked on the way home and I thought, actually, you know what, there's a shed load of potholes on my 2.5 mile journey to work down one road.
What you have to bear in mind is winter maintenance of roads. You have to understand how the councils work for a start. Their maintenance budget covers a full financial year. They will try to address potholes over the course of 12 months. We have had one of the most severe winter weathers that we've seen in a long time. When you get freezing and thawing, that generates the cracks in the road, that starts the potholes off, and the stuff starts coming out of the ground. If you hit a pothole hard and you ring up the county council to complain about it, there is a good chance that they will rush out to try and fill that pothole, because once they've had it notified to them and somebody has raised it as a concern,
there's a deadline they've got to
they then have a risk that they have a claim subsequently, and they've had it drawn to their attention. So I would always say to people, if you've got a particular issue with the pothole, ring up the county council, put it on record, and say, yes, could you possibly address this pothole, because it is something that you know, we're all concerned about. We all hit these
affects
potholes.
businesses. You know, it affects businesses. So it's
Yeah.
you know, sort
If
of
your
a
vehicle's
FSB
off-
related thing.
yeah. Having hit a pothole and ended up changing the wheel of the car on the side of a road when it was tipping down with rain.
Yeah.
It's
you know
not much fun when you do that.